Welcome to the Wellness on Tap podcast with your host, Dr. Debs Eastwood.
Yeah. But you've got a story.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't mind saying it as much now, but I've got my mates who are like, you need to tell your story. And I'm like, I don't want to tell my story. No, you need to tell your story. And I'm like, I don't want to. Just leave me alone.
Well, I'm glad that you want to tell it, being as you're sitting here opposite me today. That
Yeah,
would be weird.
I see that it is. It's a real positive. And I think that comes from, and I know it, but I feel this is why my research area is shame.
Yeah.
So there's still aspects of me where I still don't feel I'm good enough.
You've still got healing to do,
Yeah,
haven't we
massive.
all?
Oh, yeah.
We're all on a journey, aren't we? We're
Yeah.
all at different stages.
I think that's what we talk about at the work, what we do, because everyone who presents there has got a level of trauma. It's just what levels of trauma and what's caused them levels of trauma.
Yeah.
And then what pathways we can try and help them with.
100%. So where did all of this start then? So you just said you were born in Manchester, so...
Are we recording?
So we got...
Oh, sorry.
No. This is the way we like to do it.
Brilliant.
We just roll. So little Paul in Manchester, that is obviously where it started.
I was born at St Mary's, so I think I lived... This is quite strange. My mum's got alcohol dementia, and we were sat in the Gorton Monastery the other day, me, my partner, Danielle, and my mum, and my mum started to tell my birth dates and that my dad suspected that I wasn't his, and she gave the mum different date, and I was like, this is not the time to tell me that my dad's not my dad. But I'm the spit of my dad, and it was like, and she was just forgetting dates. So I was born in Gorton. I was born in St Mary's, Manchester Royal Infirmary, and then I went to Gorton. I think we lived there for a bit with my grandma. Excuse me. And then we moved to Romiley in Stockport, South Manchester. My sister never grew up with me. My mum went away, bless her, on a holiday and came back with my sister.
Oh.
And my dad had a lot of trauma. This is where I understand my dad, because he was quite violent and in quite toxic environments to grow up as a child. But I understand now through being able to see that sort of, he broke up his first, his marriage. He had his ex-wife and her partner wanted to emigrate, so he had to sign my brother over to him.
That's trauma.
And then he was a drinker from that day forward, really. He was an engineer. And mum had, so them two met each other when they were younger, had a relationship, departed ways. Mum went on holiday, came back with my sister, dad.
Was your mum pregnant before she went away on holiday and came back with a baby?
No. My sister's dad was a Spanish man from Lloret de Mar.
Okay.
Yeah, she used to carry his letters around because he kept in. Yeah, my dad ripped him up though, and she lost touch. Bless her. It's quite a sad story.
Yeah.
And my grandparents, my nana and granddad, beautiful people. They wouldn't let, because my mum and dad started to get back together. They wouldn't let my dad and take care of Lisa. So that was another trauma for him.
Yeah, there's layers upon layers there straight away, isn't there? So how many years is there between you and your sister
5
then?
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of...
I actually live in her house at the moment because I'm currently homeless.
Okay. Wow.
I know. And I work in a homeless resource centre, but I can't get enough points to rehouse. So. But I'll come to that bit of the story.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So we took layers upon layers.
Yeah, they took my sister and brought her up, which in hindsight was good because she didn't witness the stuff that I did.
Yeah. So you were left with your violent father then?
Yeah, he was really loving. I don't want to portray him in that because I've said it before, but his temper was just...
Okay.
So I grew up watching batter my mum. So, yeah. Because I'm tired. I'm feeling like really emotional. So
we've had lots of tears on here, and if that happens,
I'm not afraid of that. I like to feel.
But
Not in a morbid way. As I used to when I used to drink. I used to wallow in like, hello darkness, my old friend. I used to just fuel depression. Adding a depressant on top of depression.
Bless. Yeah, but folk do, don't they? It's one of the most accessible.
Yeah, it's just because it's so socially accepted. You know, my colleague was saying yesterday, I was talking about, because my eldest is both my children I've always kept that open space for them to tell me if they're going to use substances. I'll never close that down, because if I close it down, it's going to repress them, and then they're going to do it secretly, and then I can't.
Yeah, you can't help there, can you? You can't support them.
I haven't got any sort of power in that then. And there's a massive difference from when I was a teenager taking magic mushrooms and X, Y, and Z. Mine was a bit exploratory and a bit, wow, what's this? Looking back now, I was escaping very early on taking substances. But Ollie was like, he said to me, sad, he's one of his best mates passed away. He's only 18.
Oh, bless.
I know he OD'd. But this lad had reached out to Ollie, and he'd reached out to me. And this what really broke Ollie, is because he felt like he couldn't save him.
Couldn't help him.
But he'd only open up in them spaces where he was in it. So then trying to engage that. And I spoke to my boss about that, and she was like, you know this, Paul, they have to be. But it still doesn't make you not feel that.
No,
like
exactly, because we're human, aren't we? If you're close to somebody, you want to help them, and you take it personally. If you can't, can you? Well, I do. I would.
Yeah. And Ollie was really reflecting negatively that he should have done more. And I was like, Ollie, come on, man.
Oh, bless him.
And I said, you did everything. If he would have asked you to do it, would you have done it? He went, yeah. I said, did you ask me to help you? He went, yeah. I went, you tried. But the difference when, and I was saying it because my colleague was judging me, going, like, as I said, that Oliver did some magic mushrooms in Thailand, and it's monitored and it's categorized. But I'll give you an instance. His friend died, and he still understands his reflectivity, that he's got stuff to deal with around he was in quite a long-term a relationship from such a young age. So he said to me, Dad, I'm going to go walking on Take Loki out, which is our dog. I'm going to take some magic mushrooms and just contemplate and meditate around the death of Kyle and his split up with what went on in that relationship. And I said, I think for him to manifest that and use that as substance to enlarge his consciousness is a positive, because I never did that. I never had that ability to be aware of reflection and navigate my emotions and my vulnerabilities. And I'm like, this lad's 19, this is beautiful. Yeah. So when she said it, I went, all right, so you're all right with alcohol, are you? Yeah, all right. We have tit for tat. We're very close. We've been working together but it's that judgmentalness around.
Yeah. No, it's not helpful, is it? Judging other people.
No, stigma,
because I agree with what you've just said. I mean, that sounds to me as though a young man is being really responsible. He's wanting to explore. He's using a substance, whatever anybody may feel about that. I don't care. He's using a substance to help him emotionally. Yeah,
to help him navigate a space of...
Yeah, to deal with a traumatic act in his life. Yeah. He's not doing it for the way most people might do, to escape, for fun, to be with the crowd, etc., etc. There's none of that attached to it at all, by the sounds of things.
Well, it's the opposite, escapism. He's going into it. He's having a look and exploring that, and that blows me away. That's why I'm like,
that's wonderful. So for you then, you're a young bloke in Stockport, growing up with a very loving but bad-tempered dad.
Yeah.
And you're seeing you're experiencing living within that environment, which can't have been easy a lot of the time.
Oh, no, it was... So I grew up watching films with my dad because he was a big drinker. I've got really early recollections where we had like a flight of stairs and then the back door went out and a step into the garden. So I remember him coming in, not being able to stand, being violently sick, and me rubbing his back as a young kid to help him be sick. And then there's so much stuff. So my mum was working like 3-4 cleaning jobs, like to make ends meet. And I think she got caught once because she was working in a chip shop, and so the person came round to the house and he said, "Oh, I've heard you've been working in a chip shop." And she was like, "No, I've not been working in a chip shop." And he said, "Well, that's funny because you served me last night."
Oh, red-handed.
So she was just trying to cope with what was being dealt. She was constantly. So we had this loan shark who used to come round, and he was lovely, like Malcolm.
That's not two words I thought I'd hear together.
And he was lovely because this was back in the day, so, and he was a gay man, so he used to get jumped all the time because people knew that he was. But the interest rates were just kept people in that debt in order. So I grew up hiding behind settees. When we saw him walking out, don't answer the door.
So you've got layer upon layer upon layer of trauma as a kid.
Yeah, and then seeing the violence, that was...
So what behaviours did that manifest in you?
It gave me a massive sense of powerlessness, no control, because I want to protect her, but I can't. Because when I tried, I got the same. And it's sad because if you met him, you'd really like him. He just did his own stuff. Yeah. That's where my forgiveness comes. Yeah. I understand that he was imperfect and he wasn't, and he didn't do that wasn't like a narcissist, like knows that behaviour and then implements it on purpose. He was just lost. Didn't know how to deal with life. Found his comfort in alcohol. Because when he went to the pub, he was like the joy. Not towards the end, because he died from alcoholism. It's wrote down as a brain hemorrhage, but he had pancreatitis for like 12 years. Yeah. His stomach was massive.
So it may well have been the brain hemorrhage that actually...
it was an accumulation of the poor health, physical poor health. It wasn't just... So it was smoking, not eating healthy, not drinking, no exercise. It was all of it. But he drank cider, so it rotted him.
Yeah. Rough.
So growing up in that, I don't remember having any wallpaper. I think I had some wallpaper on one wall. I had a wardrobe. It didn't have any hangers in it. Carpets. So I grew up with my mum used to smoke, and instead of putting the cigarettes out, she would stand them up. And, so they burn out. Yeah. So I've got images now. I can see it. I can smell it. I can see the top of the banister on the top of the stairs where she would put cigarettes while she's ironing along the side, and the cigarette would then burn.
So there's them marks.
So you had your brown marks on top of the rail. I think what hit me the other day was I realised it was to my partner, and she was like, and I was never read to. Never. And that'll come into later on in the story. So, but Mum couldn't read.
Your mum couldn't read?
No, not really.
Which?
She was illiterate, so I can't. And that's another forgiveness when I started to, because I was angry at my mum and dad for quite a long time. But then I sort of, it was this is why I was fascinated with certain principles within that 12 steps. Even though I'm not massive, there's negative elements to certain things and there's positives, and that's what sent me on my pathway, because there was a shift in me which allowed me to go from perception to perspective, and it allowed me to see other people's rather than my own perception. Okay. It gave me a better angle, and then I started to see how is she going to teach me how to read when she can't read?
Yeah. She
can't-
did the best with what she had, didn't she, by the sounds of things?
She can't transmit something she hasn't got, can she? She can't pass something on.
No, if she's working 3 jobs and still looking after the house, she was trying her best, wasn't she?
And balancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you became a teenager, did that,
School was really traumatic for me, because I think I would have been diagnosed with ADHD at that classrooms. Inability to read, concentration it's quite strange, because I've started to, since I've finished the PhD and having that like massive pressure whilst working, being a parent, looking after mum and all that X, Y and Z, I've started to realise that I'm very heightened to certain stimulus, especially noise, tapping. And I knew it was there, present, because I struggled with it through uni and distraction. I knew it was when I did my GCSEs, because I got a PLP, I got a learning difficulty. They put me in, they said, would you like a private room? And they took me out this very quiet, 100 people in a hall, to put me into a room full of 10 people typing.
Oh, clack, 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 clack.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, it was horrendous. So I started to become aware of that more. I'm sorry, I diverted from the question. It was around the home life.
Yeah, it was just exploring you as a teenager and how you let off steam.
My let off steam, I started using substances quite early on. I was very sporty. I'm very active. I would find things. So I did gymnastics. I don't know why they ever got rid of the baggers, the British Gymnastics Association, in primary schools, because that just conditioned me as a child. My
gave you
balancing,
some discipline and
I loved it. Being bodily, energetic, exercise. So after doing baggers, and I loved dancing in primary school, so I was like the lead country dancer, which took us out. And I sang in a choir. I was solo. I sang in like most churches in Stockport, and so I was very active in that. And it's quite Mrs. Cumsty, oh bless her. So she would know.
Bless you, darling. Taking you back to troubled times.
It's all right. It's just so I'd go in primary school with like black eyes. So she was like, she knew. I think a lot of teachers knew. I really do. But Mrs. Cumsty, she was a dinner lady, so she used to save me food. She used to shout me, come over. Come over.
Lovely.
Got you some after lunch and stuff like that. She was lovely. Still see her lad now. Still say hello. But it's that, I think I always had dreams of like reading. I wanted to go to see artwork, and I wanted to go to the theatre and stuff like that.
But the circumstances you were growing up in weren't allowing that to happen.
No, the opportunity weren't there.
Yeah. So you said you started substances.
Well, but just going back to that, the film was it was a medium. It took me somewhere to like fantasy. It really took me out. So I think that was my first escape.
Okay.
It was like
lovely
through film and through art, in terms of films on TV so I used to. And this is why Norway's on my to-do list quite early. I was going to go in lockdown because there's a research associate who said, come over and I'll take you on I pronounce it wrong, the fjords.
Yeah.
And he said, we'll go on the kayaking and I'll take you. Because I still remember being at because every Sunday we would go to my nana and granddad's home, and all the family would have dinner there, and we'd all lie down, me and my sister, or we would lie on the rug in front of the fire. And everyone had the Sunday dinner. Top button would come undone and everyone relaxes. And I remember watching the Vikings. Do you remember? You know, like with Tony. It's Kirk Douglas and Tony.
I'm rubbish with names and things like that.
There's a beginning in that film, and it's got it's and the waterfalls coming down. So that's always like takes me somewhere.
Wonderful.
So that was one escape sort of thing. And then obviously playing out, and I lived near some sort of a quarry. So I'd be ever out there. I would be, forever sort of seeking, never at home.
So, I mean, it's people of...
Home wasn't a safe space.
No. I mean, people of our sort of age used to play in building sites and quarries and in the woods and things like that, which kids nowadays don't seem to, do they?
Well, it was like a BMX track up there. It was great.
Yeah.
So, and then substance, because I grew up around alcohol. I grew up in a pub. So I was a very good pool player. So I grew up being in them environment. It wasn't anything...
So it was normal.
Normal for me.
To have a drink.
Yeah, it was like the other kids never really spoke about that. And then I first experimented on deodorant.
The spray?
Putting it in a plastic bag, and then inhaling it. I know. I used to go home with like white rings around me. About 11, something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then gas.
Yeah.
That really takes you somewhere.
And these were all your different routes of...
Just, and then it was...
Not being present in that environment.
Cannabis took me, and then that progressed into, I think mushrooms came around, and then amphetamine, but that was only slight there, because a lot of lads who were using amphetamine were, there's like older drug dealers who lived close by, and they would take quite a big amount to work out. So they'd obviously inject the gear in instead, and then they'd have some whiz to help pump iron.
Wow.
So I did a little bit. Someone gave me about an ounce to look after one. Said, store that in your house, will you? And I ate it all. I was up for like 3 days.
I shouldn't laugh.
I think that's when I realised I wasn't a very good drug dealer.
Thank goodness.
I just ate everything. Escapism again, innit? What was I doing?
And did that take you through your 20s?
That progressed. It was quite sad because there was a lot of us who did quite a lot of experimenting, and we did it quite a lot on the level of like Ollie's mate Kyle, so bless him. But we were like, so we'd do concoctions, but I'd also play football, so I was good at football. I got banned from rugby at Paul because for fighting and taking a chair leg on when I got sent off. So I ran after the lad. He was about 6'2", and I'm quite small. So imagine in secondary school. And lucky enough, another teacher in there, Mr. Jackson, like saw that I needed something. He went, "Have you ever played football?" And I was like, "No." And he took me under his wing, and he allowed me to play football, I was banned from everything. It's like things in school where I remember that I'd never been away, never been abroad, didn't have them opportunities. And then I remember a teacher coming in the class and saying, "Who would like to go on a trip to Germany?" And I was like, my hand was straight up. And everyone put their hands up, and she went, "You can't go anywhere. And put your hand down."
Whoa.
Yeah. And then she wondered why I locked her in the cupboard. And now.
Wow.
I had a psychologist quite early on in school as well. I was on report, and I think the school did the best because they kept me on report for like 5 years. And back then you would either go to Tatchell Ledge or Tatchell Lodge.
Those like the troubled kids' schools, as we might call them.
And I had that, and they brought a therapist in, Mrs. McCall. It's weird how you... And she took me down these steps in some sort of meditation stuff onto a beach, and she was good.
So school wasn't your best place then, was it? You didn't get, let's say, the full benefit from the education that was offered to you?
No, because like Mr. Davidson, he was my form tutor. I knew when I went to Marpole, because you get picked out in a classroom. I saw this big 6'4" meathead, Geordie, crooked teeth. I knew he was going to be my teacher, and he was. But do you know what? He was actually lovely.
Good.
He was He was a gentle giant. But
So
he was
did
also a geography teacher. He was a PE, but geography teacher.
Oh, okay.
And he called me Devon for like 3-4 years until I realised next to my second name. And I was like...
Yeah.
And I thought...
So he'd given you a nickname, a sign of, there's an affection, isn't it?
Well, he'd whistle, he'd go... He used to whistle through his teeth, so he'd go...
I can't do that.
He'd go, Devon, you had too much orange juice again. So he knew. You know what I mean? I didn't know what he...
Yeah.
They knew my behaviour was, like, really... And it's quite sad because I remember getting told to get out of the class in Cornwall, you're going to have to leave. You're going into... And this is what it was nicknamed then. It's quite bad. It's Remy. You're going into remedial. And I remember it now, 106. I know exactly, I can picture where it is.
Yeah.
And I remember questioning, why am I being taken out of here? And he went, well, there's 32 kids in here. And if 33 kids in here, if I can take you out, I can teach 32.
Right. It sounds to me as though you had like the desire to learn, but because of everything that was going on for you, you just couldn't. Is that fair?
Yeah. I didn't have the capability of processing. I didn't. Yeah, I think looking, well, history's proven it to be different, but
that's changed considerably to where you are now, hasn't it? So let's get through.
Well, just going back to that, Mrs. English was that 106 was really a really good space for me. She was the oldest teacher and she just had such a calming demeanour about her. And there was 4 of us in there, and none of us acted out for her.
Wow.
None of us. Her teaching style was just, and I understood that, like, you know, you get one kid who's disrupting and you're trying to teach. I understood that later on in life, not at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always wanted to read and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
So what did you do after school then? So.
Oh, excuse me.
And that's quite all right. So you were put down into the remedial classes, but you did sit your GCSEs? No.
I missed quite a few, and I remember it was, oh God, what is it? It's, I can't think of the term where you have A, B, C or D.
Your grades?
Well, you have questions, multiple choice questions, but you just had to like, and I remember sat in and I was just colouring them in because they were literally listed A, B, C or E. A, B, C, or E. And I remember just colouring patterns because I couldn't read the bloody question. Most
so
of
it
them,
was
a
pointless exercise for you, really, then, wasn't it?
So mine was always memory of the words, not the pronunciation. So it was very difficult for me to... If I don't comprehend a sentence, I'm never going to be able to answer it, am I?
No, of course you're not. No. And that's a big criticism of the education system as well, isn't it?
Yeah, wow.
I know, it's very didactic, and I mean, it's slightly different now, maybe. I don't know. Let's not go there. That's too big a topic. That's a big rabbit hole.
I don't think you get taught to critically think until you do like an MSc or a master's level or something. So
you left school without qualifications.
Yeah.
And what happened then?
I went into physical labour because I was good. I was good at football. I was good at exercise. I was healthy. So I worked for Adidas when I was 16. That's when I realised what UB40 stood for, the band. Because a UB40 is when you get put on the dole. Yeah. And I never knew that until I got a UB40 because I loved UB40 at the time. I got made redundant there, and then I worked there with my sister, and then I went washing hair for my auntie. So she said, "Do you want a job?" And I went, "What doing?" She was like, "Washing hair in the old days." I was like, "Right, cool." And then while I was doing that, she said, "Do you want to go to college?" And I went, "Do I get a day off?" And she went, "Yeah." I went, "All right, I'll go to college." And then I was like, so I went like Pierre, was it Pierre Gandin? Yeah. In Manchester, and I learned how to. It was quite interesting because it was like I wanted to. There was insecurities then because I didn't know how to speak to girls. So I used to look into magazines and like so I could talk to girls about the hair or something like that.
So you studied like hairdressing.
And I could put them down as well very quickly.
So you were studying a hairdressing type thing at college, were you? Because
I qualified as a hairdresser. Yeah.
Yeah.
purple rinses, blue rinses, anything.
And was that a better thing to do because a lot of it was practical?
I didn't like hairdressing. I only went to college because I got a day off.
Yeah, fair dues, but just the learning experience, did you think you learned more because it was more practical?
Oh, definitely. I think my career now is practice-based. It really is. I like the interaction.
Yeah.
I think it was just basically that. I had no desire to open my own shop and continue perming hair and stuff. I always wanted something. It's quite strange because I always saw through materialism. I used to always, like, when people like used to say, like, that doesn't make you a better person just because you're wearing a Lacoste thing. So I remember having them arguments quite early on. So I think I've always been seeking me. I think I've always had a deeper sense, like Ollie's I wasn't like him at 19, but I was very inquisitive. Yeah. Questioning everything.
So you didn't stick it out at your aunties?
No. It was quite sad because my granddad died, and I don't really like saying this, if my auntie ever hears it, but my granddad, I was really close to my granddad because my mum used to go there all the time. We used to go every Sunday. That's why I was really close to my sister. I spent most of my time there. And when he died, they left me at the shop. I know. And it was, and I get it though. I understand that as well. That's where the healing comes. I know why she just ran off. Her dad was dead. You know, she didn't think of me in that sense. No. So I don't ever hold anything against her on that. But that feeling of like,
I remember when my granddad died, also on my mum's side, and we used to go there quite a lot as well. And I loved them both dearly, my nana and granddad. And I was told that I was too young to go to the funeral. And I was early teens. I was definitely at secondary school. Can't remember exactly how old I was, but, definitely at secondary school. And I turned up for school that morning. I thought, I'm not staying here. And so I wagged it. I took the day off. I was just so upset.
Yeah.
So I have some appreciation of that. So what after that then? That's obviously a pivotal moment for you, your granddad passing.
Because, he was like, there's significant people who've been in my life, and it's quite sad because they've all gone. So that sense of caregiver, he was a caregiver. He was a safe space for me. Yeah. Loved him. He would take me, he sort of like, this is what I say about my sister experiencing a really nice thing, because he would let me go in his shed where he had tools, and I'd just go in and cut some wood, or he'd take me in the greenhouse and show me that he's growing tomatoes and stuff like that. Real different. My nana was just stunning as a person, Our family, because we're all quite big in a certain sense, but I noticed that love was shown through food. And because my nana's Italian, they were Italian immigrants in Manchester, in Little Italy, in Ancoats, which was like probably one of the most deprived areas in the 30s and stuff. I know there's a lot of discrimination against the Irish, but the Italians got it as well. And it's quite sad because, when I had my second lad with my ex-partner Leanne, I always said, you carried baby, you can have the first name and I'll get the second name. And she didn't like the second name. And I was like, I want him to be called Carlo, because that's my great-great-grandfather who was an immigrant into Scotland, but was never nationalised. He then, because Mussolini changed sides, they all got arrested and put in intern. And then he was escorted by his son, who was in the fire service, I think, if I get it all. But he was born, so he was nationalised. Right. And I think, I don't know the numbers, but a large amount, about 500 Italians, 700 Germans, all got put on a boat called the Andorra Star, which there was lots of controversy over this because it was painted battleship grey, I think, and stuff like that. And it got sunk off the coast of Ireland, and they all died. Wow. I know. But when my nana told me the name, I didn't know she had early onset of dementia, right? So it turns out that it was maybe not be his name, so I had to go and tell Leanne that I'd actually called her son, which she didn't want in the first place. So it's quite.
Wow, what a story behind that as well.
I know. I've totally go off. You have to pull me back, please, because
I will do that, my darling. Do not you worry, because I want to move forward.
Okay.
Thank you for prompting me to prompt you. I want to move forward to where things started to really change for you.
I think it was the deaths, really.
Do you think it was just after your granddad or
there was
later?
Because of a lot of substances. We took a lot of substances. There was a massive amount of mental health happening to all of us. And when I was about 19, my the paranoia in them was horrendous with us all. And my best mate tried to take his own life. So he took like 50 antitryptyline and like, a massive amount. And he survived, but sadly he's still suffering today on that. And I still see him. It breaks me out every time I see him. And he's still there and he's that person, but it's part of him went in that. So after that, we all split. And I went into... it was quite clear as well, because at the time, rave scenes came about. So ecstasy was around. And there was like a quite clear split between groups and demographics of these groups. Like, so a lot of people would either go to heroin and crack cocaine after the clubs or after this era, or you'd go into drinking and cocaine. And I went into drinking. And I went into the building trade. So I went working for a shop fitting company.
Okay.
Because I was good with my hands.
Sounds like a potentially quite dangerous mix there, though. Building trade, I'm thinking like, heights and power tools and drinking.
Oh, yeah.
They don't sound like the best combination.
Oh, one of the lads who there was a great shop fitter. He would have a half a whiskey mixed in milk every morning and drink it. And he'd suck cloves of garlic and ride a motorbike.
Crikey.
Yeah.
So was this sort of like a period of your life that was going to come to a head at some point and you were going to crash?
No, I think that was like the start of the work. It was like the worst. It started off quite bad. I thought I found a solution by drinking, because when I had a drink, it took away all that paranoia, took away all that anxiety. The real
temporary solution.
Dutch courage, it was that, boomph. And in like literature of like 12-step philosophy and that sort of stuff, they say that and it's quite common that I had arrived, and it's that, I'm all right. So that became that, but I remember my dad saying to me quite early on, you and drink don't go, Paul. Because I would act out.
Right.
It was like, everyone used to say, you can't handle your drink because you're only little. And I was like, oh yeah, it must be that. And it wasn't. It was just that.
It's what you've been through.
Once I started doing it, was like that. I couldn't get enough of that. Chasing
and so that was your addiction, was it then?
It started into that then, yeah. And then that became problematic in itself, because I would act out, I would fight, I would say things, I wouldn't get up for work. So then I started using cocaine to level the drink.
Oh, wow.
Because it puts you on an even keel. So you can drink, but you're not totally out of control, into blackout. And
that's an expensive combination, isn't it?
Well, I'd met Leanne though, when I was 22 or 21, and she was, I was 22, she was 17, so it was like 5 years. And I thought she would help me, because she didn't drink, she didn't take drugs. She showed me love, comfort straight away. And I thought that was like, it gave me a sense. When I say I think at that time, I don't know what I actually think at that time. You can speculate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that gave me a different sort of state of hope to what been my life. And then it didn't last long because my drinking became problematic.
Yeah.
And then we decided to have children and I would promise that I would change after I would have this responsibility. And looking back, having children just compounded my inability to live, really, which I was
So
already
when did it
struggling with
all
anyway.
implode
It
then?
started, well, that was about 22, so it carried on. It carried on for another 10 years.
Okay.
Just getting worse. And because then towards the end, when we had Oliver, so it must have been when she was pregnant with Oliver, the year before someone had showed me how to wash cocaine to crack.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so then I was off on the crack. And that's a different beast. That's like...
I've seen
alcohol,
things on television about how dangerous it is.
Yeah, the alcohol's like... Because alcohol, Leanne used to always say there was a predictable unpredictability of how I would be. You did not know. And then once because I used to have these fears of like waking up, because I was a morning drinker and my mum was in it with me. So my mum was my drinking partner. Oh, wow. Because going back, 2002, my dad died through that. And that was a massive, massive thing because I'd lost my role model. And I'd lost my older role model in my granddad. And it also goes back to my grandma before that. Losing her was another significant. But so it got to a point where I first started daily drinking in oh God, what's it called? Anglesey.
The bridge. Menai Straits.
But what's that area called? It's we did the university. I was working there doing the university, ripping the floors up and putting new floors down. And that was the first time I started. Because you're in that building trade, the drinking was a very cultural thing. So I used to play for the pool team on a Monday night. I did something on a Sunday, all involved alcohol. So when we used to do that, and you drink every night when you're working away in digs, but then I'd started in the afternoon, and that's when I started to notice. Along that, with then obviously smoking crack towards the end was and obviously smoking heroin. So
were the hard drugs, the crack and the heroin, what eventually became your undoing and took you?
Alcohol.
It was that took you into...
My one go-to was alcohol, always.
So when did you get to the point where you were like, this has to stop, I'm going to go into recovery, I'm going to do the 12 steps? When did that come?
I think I was searching to change constantly. I'd get in psychosis and write on the wall what I wanted to do. Like marry, learn how to read, it wasn't that, it was learn how to spell. Because when I got my mum out of that house, me and my friend went round, it was still on the wall.
Wow.
Learn kung fu. It was like a bit of psychosis, but there was a lot of truth in that. Learn how to dance, sing, stuff like that. So it got quite well. When the crack had a hold for a few years, that was the worst time. Crack will take you there quicker than alcohol will, I believe. It took me to a lower point very quickly because it hits you financially, the deceit around that. Yeah. It's like, so I used to play for a quite decent football. So I used to train on a Thursday night. The drinking had progressed, but I could train at a level by drinking some shorts or quarter bottle of vodka or whiskey or whatever I could get in. And the lads who were training at like semi-pros, they'd be like, "You stink of ale, man." And I'm like, nah, it's from the night before. I'd have to lie. So I was constantly living in a lie of deceit. And that is just so trying to get out of it but not know how to get out of that just perpetuates you using that to escape that feeling. So it's such a vicious cycle of...
Was there a significant event that occurred
that
drew the line in the sand?
Yeah. Being really honest in I was there were big things what happened. So I got done for drink driving. And because I'd tell myself that I was going out, but subconsciously I knew what I was doing. It was in there. I had an argument with Leanne. I said, I'm going to my mum's because my mum was... So I used to ring my mum because my mum was drinking. And I'd say, me and Leanne are coming up at 2:00. And she'd go, what are you on about 2:00? And I'd say, 2:00. Coming at 2:00. She'd go, oh, right, I'll put you 2 double large whiskies behind the toilet downstairs. So she was in it with me.
Wowzers.
You know, she was in it. She was in that deceit. And I think because I had an argument with Leanne, couldn't handle that life, went towards my mum's, went in a pub in the morning, knocked on at 9:00, got in. And lucky enough, someone rang the police when I left because I don't remember leaving. I don't remember having a fight. I got in the van. I started to be sick because it's my work's van. Conked out, went unconscious. The reason why I know all this is it's in the police report.
Okay. Yeah,
Then
you have no memory of it.
Then I turned the van on to drive to my mum's, which is about 500 yards up the road. And then the police tried to stop me. And I got NFA'd with it, no further action, because they watched me. They got a phone call. They watched me then get in a van, then be sick, then wait until I wake up before they should have intervened as soon as that I walked to that. As soon as I had them keys in my hand.
Yeah.
You know, because it was a police chase.
Wow.
And I sort of come to my senses within this chase, and I was like, what am I doing?
Right.
I thought, what am I doing?
Bit of a eureka
it was
moment.
Like, whoa, what am I doing? And because I drove at a policeman. And then as the other policeman come around the corner, I was like, I'm sorry, mate, I don't know what I'm doing. I've just come to my senses. And he went, wow, mate, you... And the first policeman was like, wow, mate, you didn't have to take off there. He was like, he was dead night. The other one just battered me. Rightly so, because then I could have killed him. That didn't even change me. Because I couldn't... It
took more than that.
I wanted, but I didn't know how to get it out. The turning point was... I'd have an argument, I'd escape, Leanne would find me. So I've had Leanne knocking on the crack house with 6 months pregnant with my mum on crutches, with my van parked outside, and I'm telling the guy, tell him like, yeah. That's the level of it where it destroys sort of families. And I'm not proud of that. But I can't remember when it was, but I was lay on the floor and Leanne had found me, my mum's unconscious. And my mum was like, shugging me, going, you've got to get up for work. Because they propped me up. They would save me. I needed to fall. But they would keep me in work by getting me up. And I remember feeling shameful not to open my eyes because I know I'm in trouble and I'm feeling pretty horrible in that sense. I remember Leanne saying, you can't blame me, don't have a go in, Barbara.
So much pain, darling.
And it was loving because she said, he's not doing... She said, he's not doing this on purpose. She said, he's not well.
So it was Leanne that realised and...
Yeah. And then she went to... And then I'd promise again, I'm going to try and change. I'll go to drug and alcohol services. I went to drug and alcohol services. And they told me to drink.
I've heard that coming off cold turkey is not a good idea.
I know it's a drink down. It's to stop you having seizures if you level on that. And I get it, but that was a green light to me. Yeah, that was a thing of. And I can remember going outside and saying, Leanne, I've got a drink. She's like, tell them to fuck off. You can't drink. She knew. And I think there was another instance because I was seeking treatment. I knew at that stage, I said, Leanne, I need to be taken out of society. I can't be trusted. Because I would give her control of the bank card, I'd give her the money, And 10 minutes later, when I'm eating for a drink or something, and then having a go at her, saying she's controlling or, you know. And I remember I got arrested for something, having a fight with a police officer again, a taxi, and someone saying to me, right, we're going to test you for cocaine. I was like, I've not done cocaine, I did drugs. And it came up positive. So they sent me to an assessment at a rehab, which later on in life started to work for. But
what a turnaround.
Yeah, at that point though, it was like, I remember he put a healthy boundary in, and I said it to him one day, because I went in and I went, all right, mate. And he went, just let's get one thing straight, I'm not your mate. And at that point, my door, do you know, at that moment, I was open as a possibility. And because it was that, I ain't your mate, that rejection, boom, from my wall come up again then. And then I was like, fuck you then. And off I went. And I think it was, the darkness in my mind was it was my friend, a turning point. I'm starting to remember, it was Johnny Schutz. He rang me and he said, it was after I'd been on a bender and I got back in work and I was feeling low, and he was like, it was very strange that day because I was in this warehouse and I felt like the walls were coming in on me, like very much like a vibration. And I remember him saying, what is it? What's your issue, Paul? He said, You've got someone who loves you. You've got a young boy. You've got all your family adore you. You're good at work. And that was the moment when I think I admitted that I don't know. I really don't know. I was confused and I was done. And that was my turning point. That admittance that I didn't know.
So now...
Yeah.
when I got to know you, was just Paul, the wellspring.
Oh, yeah.
And that was how I knew you, but nothing else for a while. Tell me about the wellspring.
Right. I think the journey has to carry on to why I'm there, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So from that point there, I rang Alcoholics Anonymous, and this woman spoke to me in a way that I'd never been spoken to ever. She knew exactly, or she expressed exactly how I felt in her own experience and her thought patterns and her behaviour. And I just thought, shit, she knows something. There's something here. And then a gentleman picked me up, Peter. He came round from the phone line. Someone came round and took me to my first meeting. And he was just another really lovely guy. Reminds me very much of Mr. English in the 106 Remedial. And he spoke about fear of the boogeyman and fear. And that was the turning point. Lucky enough to ask someone to take me through the 12 steps. They took me through the 12 steps. And that's why I really got interested in the 12 steps. I wasn't too interested in the social aspects of the meetings and stuff like that. Really, there was something deeper here, and that's what shifted me, allowed me. Because I like to start there, really, because that's my perspective, but shifted my perception of people and understanding of why that they were all imperfect. They didn't do it on purpose. They weren't horrible. They weren't cruel. They just had their own imperfections.
Yeah, for sure.
And that sent me on a way then to, just going to move myself. That sent me on a pathway to wanting to learn to read. Well, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to do psychology straight away. So I jumped in, signed up. I was working full time. Harrison was born. Harrison was 1. Oliver was 3 when I got sober and off substances.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah. And then I started maths and psychology. It's funny that I shied away from the one. And I did GCSEs, and Leanne did her English GCSE at the same time, and she had a one-to-one with this lady called Nikki Charles. She's significant. I remember so I started, then got a job for Acorn recovery projects in Stockport, Manchester, in the housing, and I remember Leanne brought the results down to us because we've got the results, and I remember opening them, and Leanne passed and I'd failed, and I remember Leanne crying and me saying, "Why are you crying?" And she was like, "Because I passed and you failed." And I said, "It's all right, Leanne." She went, "What do you mean?" And I was like, I can't read.
It's a big admission to make.
Yeah, massive turning point for me. Just like I needed help and I didn't know why I was drinking. I was lost. So these are big turning points. And she went, "Come and meet." And this is why I don't really go for certain amounts of 12-step sort of fellowships and that, because there can be power structure in there where sponsorship and roles of like mentorship, they just to show you how to implement a certain principle in your life for you to take that, to empower that, not a life coach, and this, and I sort of like, so Leanne saying, "Come meet this woman," and then I had an ear of somebody else saying, no, just you've got fear, you just need to do it. And that was around Learn Direct, so it was on computers. I'd never turned a computer on in my life. You know what I mean? It's just so I went and met this lady, and she said, Nikki Charles, lovely lady. She's mentioned in my thesis, and she said, "Have you ever been screened?" And I went, "For drugs?" And she was like, "No, for dyslexia." And I was like, "I don't even know what that is." And she went, "Paul, you've got learning difficulty. No two ways about it." So she part-screened me, sat down with me, and did support one-to-one while I did my English GCSE, which I passed.
Yeah, wonderful.
And then she put me, I did my maths as well, and then she put me I started to do my A-levels access course, so it was like 3 A-levels in a short space of time. I think it was like 9 months. And then she put me in for some award, because she couldn't believe how far I'd come in like a year to reading beginnings of academic journals. And I won this Northwest Learner, which me, Leanne, and the boys went to London to receive at the.
Excellent.
I know, yeah.
You clearly had it in you, and it just hadn't been brought out.
Yeah, Portcullis House, and like me, it was fantastic. It was great. And then, going, but there was breakdowns in the relationship still there. I need to mention that because when I got sober, I got this new lease of life, and that dependency on Leanne started to come towards myself, which then left her in a state of like, I'm not needed anymore. So there was fractions within the relationship. And to be honest, the amount of dishonesty and the lies and the carnage what I brought to that, I broke a lot of trust, and that I'll mention that never healed. Sad to say that around that. I don't think it was all that. I think as people you grow. So we were together 27 years, so and people change.
Yeah.
And
you were going through a massive change in your life as well.
Yeah. So I did my A-levels, still focused on the psychology, to hopefully do a degree in psychology, which was, my GCSE was the hardest. The A-levels were hard. And the time of my A-levels, though, my granddad had passed, my dad had passed, my brother-in-law became my dad.
Right.
Looked after me. Whenever I got in trouble, he'd always be there. He was an handy lad. And I got a phone call off my sister, off my mum, saying that Gary had died. And that...
Another big blow.
Yeah. At the same time, my nana had dementia. So at the end of my drinking, she started to get dementia, and I'd go and see her in Stepping Hill, and she'd say things like, "Please don't leave me here, Paul. Please don't leave me here. Please take me." And I could not handle that. So I'd run straight from there across to the off licence and buy a drink. Couldn't cope with that emotional. The difference with Gary is I'd started to be able to regulate my emotions. I started to navigate. That's why I was really interested in these sort of principles within this 12-step philosophy, because they're very good at navigating it in introspection into emotion, understanding what these emotions are, where they're stemming from, I like the old stuff where it's either rooted in the basic sort of fear is that it's either rooted in something that I'm not going to get or something that I'm going to lose. And there's a fear of that, which keeps the angst. And it was heartbreaking for Lisa, absolutely, and the kids. And I'll never forget it, especially Liv, not dismissing Jay, minimising Jay. It was just the way Liv, it broke me that. So that was another thing. And then my nana had dementia, bless her, and she passed away. So watching someone mentally go and then physically.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. And there was a lot of deaths in the space of this time. And then I started to do my undergrad. And Leanne had just got this new job, and then she had this new lease of life. And she did what I did, but our relationship was broke. And she went working like 48-hour shifts, XYZ, and I started to... It was the first time that I'd ever looked after my kids on my own for like 48 hours. And I mean, like, never done the washing. Liam was very good at all that sort of stuff, and I never did it. So it was like a mini breakdown. My mum started to have alcoholic seizure at the time, and this was a really significant aspect of it as well, that I got sober, and my mum was my drinking partner. She didn't. She went downhill, and I couldn't save her. That plays out in my pattern of couldn't save my dad. That's another, probably why I'm in the role that I do, especially the area that I research. So mum was having fits every night, like seriously falling down the back of stairs, could have broken it.
Yeah.
I was in my final year of my undergrad, and I was looking after my kids for the first time, and the monotonous of that, getting up in the morning and getting the breakfast ready for 2 and then hurry up, we're going to be late for school, X, Y, and Z, have you got your bag, get the sandwiches, don't jump on that grass, I'm not washing them pants tonight, I've only got 2 pairs for the week. I'd be buy like 5 shirts so you just don't have to do it all the time. And at the end of it, I managed to, mum worked really poorly, the misdiagnosis through delirium. I took her out of a home, put her in a home, finished my undergrad. I got a distinction in my. I got a 2-1 in my overall. I got a first in my dissertation, but I just missed on a first on the.
Well done.
Yeah, on the overall, it's 66% or something. And I realised that I could look after my kids on my own.
2 huge
and
things.
at that time, though, there was something going on, and I won't go into that because I don't want to put anybody in a bad light. But I was going to leave, and we tried to do it again. And the sadness after that, mum. I went to the nursing home one night, and she was like, so some of the time she'd be like, your dad's been here. And I said, has he? Is he all right? Because and then she's like, yeah. And the PJ, which was a dog, she's here as well. A week after, I went back one night, and she was like, you promised me you'd bring me them facts last night. I was like, what? She'd remembered. And I thought, what's going on? It was a shift. Asked her some more questions. I said, where has my dad been? She was like, what are you talking about? Your dad's dead. And I was like, I was like, what about the dog? And she was like, Paul, you're freaking me out now. What's going on? I went and spoke to the manager. She went, Paul, she needs a reassessment. She ain't got dementia. So I was like, what? I've took her stuff out of her house.
Oops.
The best thing about that was she needed to. She had steps up, steps down. She can't bend her knee.
She needed a level by the sounds of things.
Yeah, but all the people who she was drinking with, 5 of them on there, they were all doing it. So we got her diagnosed again. She come out, we thought she was okay. And we got her a nice sort of like self-supporting flats area best thing ever. Like they were putting nights on. It was like she was a teenager again. She went, "Oh, I can't wait, this X, Y, and Z on tonight." But the brain went again. That's when we knew the real diagnosis was Korsakoff's, and it was alcohol dementia. And the reason I say this is because I implemented everything that had my skill set around social work assessment and medication change, diet. I took over controlling, me and my sister took over the health side, so we'd try and get her on nutrition, trying to monitor her drinking, trying to monitor her cigarette intake. But the one thing I couldn't have any power in was what the alcohol had done to the brain.
Yeah, of course. And while this was all going on, you graduated.
Yeah.
And carried on your educational journey.
Yeah. So then I got a scholarship for doing my master's in psychology, which I looked into like narratives of recovery. And I tailored it into Alcoholics Anonymous because I had a lot of connection. It was accessible because I was really interested in that self-dialogue and the stories we live by and how our stories define who we are and stuff like that. And what it was really important, what came out, because it was like, there's a service in Stockport which we sort of push people towards, is facilitated. It's a reduction in motivation program in Stockport it's on a Pennine Care, and it's run by ACOM, really, subcontractors. But there's a power in the facilitator delivering, which looks at consequences to addiction, looks at patterns of behaviour, looks at all different angles. But there's a power in the person delivering it, we found, in that they could break the narrative which has been sustaining these people and holding them in a space. Yeah. They could break through that quite quickly. I'm not diminishing anything away from practitioners, and
of course not. Yeah, no, there's many different modalities, isn't there?
Yeah, and there was just something significant in that, and I was interested in how we then reoffer ourselves through that shame and stuff like that. So, and
you didn't stop with the masters either, did you?
No, I got distinction in my masters. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Congratulations again.
So then I went working for the Wellspring, and I didn't know what it was. And the Wellspring is it's a beacon on its own. It really is. It was purpose built. It's a homeless resource centre and the strategy really focuses on at risk of homelessness, street homelessness, entrenched rush sleepers, and that's the main essence. But it's a lot broader than that. So anybody presents at that door with any aspect of trauma, we don't turn away, and we try and help in whatever way we can.
How wonderful!
It's a beautiful place. It's governed by a really good board of trustees, which covers lots of disciplines. So our chair is a family lawyer. So we've got managing consultants, we've got architects, we've got engineers, we've got people in the church community, whatever that is, and they then trickle down into Alex Knight, who's our manager. She's just beyond her years. So when I say about like this lived experience has a powerful effect, there's only 3 people, 4 was she, who have ever seen a level of care and love and empathy for human beings, and that was Alison. Blew me away. Taught me so much.
And I guess it's also part of your own healing journey as well, the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, I think my whole career is based on trying to help someone.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, trying to explore. So the Wellspring in itself, then Alex is a social worker by trade. Dora Allison, she's worked in service. She's worked with kids in deprived areas on Gauzy Bank, who now she's working as adults with their children who are still stuck. Mm. But her networking skills in Stockport and probation, police, GPs, mental health, social work, housing, everything. We have another Lisa Cookson, social worker by trade. Moana Merch Rose, nurse, come from MRI.
So you've got lots of wonderful specialties all there to help these people.
Yeah, a very good skill set. 2 lads, Paulie, Ben, both in recovery. Aaron run children's homes. Very good with a young population, young males. And my area, obviously addiction and stuff. But
A lot of education going on, I guess.
Yeah. We also have an advanced prescribing practitioner 3 days a week, walk-in surgery, GP twice a week. Really accessible. It's quite sad because there was an incident yesterday. So we were stood on a train bridge in Stockport. So one of our lads is pure mental health. What that diagnosis is needs to be defined and categorised, but he turns up and he'd been kicked out of hospital by a certain doctor on the grounds of apparent, I don't know if this is true, that he'd assaulted one of the staff. Our nurses then ring and state that that's not actually true. Tried to calm him down, rang the 999, said he's going to kill himself. 4 o'clock comes, police haven't still managed to get hold of him. He was already under a section, so he was come out, and then we get a phone call that he's on the bridge. So we finished at 4:30, and 2 of the colleagues were already there, and lucky enough he got down, but we then liaised with our nurses. This is all outside of hours. Manager was there to take him to MRI, because obviously there was some issue with that treatment in Stockport.
So you're now supporting very acute cases, emergency cases, long-term cases.
Yeah, massive. That environment is traumatic for staff.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've had so many deaths, it's unreal. And you get to know. One of the biggest pluses about the Wellspring is we have the most engagement because we offer food, showers, clothing, healthcare, charges, benefit support, whatever.
Yeah.
So so you get emotionally
attached.
Yeah.
And you've written a thesis for a doctorate, I believe?
Well, yeah, while I was working at the Wellspring, an opportunity came up to apply for a funded PhD, and I did, went through it, and I managed to get it and secure it. And the Wellspring didn't want to lose me in that sense as well. They kept me on for like 10 hours a week to hold hands with people who are not engaging in services, or to really focus and target population around who needs to engage. It's like people getting punished for engagement when the issue is they lack the capacity to engage. So it's like, that's discrimination, isn't it? You're having a go at someone for not having the capability of doing something. Like when I think first week, and a probation officer rang me and went, "Where's X, Y, and Z?" And I said, "Well, he's just rocked up now." She went, "Well, I'm going to breach him because he's not turned up again." I said, "He's just woke up out of the bush, just behind the trees. He ain't got a phone. He ain't got a diary. He ain't got a reminder set. You know, you need to wake up." Yeah. So I think the basis of that is we're advocates, but we're a skill set of advocates. And I've not used my title. Well, I have used it once, but that was because some social worker was trying to position herself above people without understanding who them people were.
Well,
anyway, let's go on.
I would like to finish this off, to round this up, this incredible story that you've told, by saying, you, in my mind, are now an incredible role model for all these people. You have brought yourself from layers upon layers of trauma all the way through your early life, through a variety of substance abuses, through not getting any benefit from the education system because of what's happening, to being somebody who is not only now working in the field and supporting others, finding themselves most likely at similar points with a different story to the journey you've had, to a man who is now educated to the highest degree. Congratulations, my love.
Oh, thanks.
And thank you so much for coming.
I'll send you the papers. They're in.
Excellent.
Yeah, you'll like it. It's in relation to identity, so it's around
That'd be wonderful.
Self-perception, stuff like that.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
You're welcome. Was that all right?
Yeah, perfect.